Mr. Anton Massopust teaching my students about the Proprietary House. The last royal governor of King George was Benjamin Franklin's son, William Franklin. This was his house.
The loyalists were here, and nobody expected the rebels to win. But basically, what happened was that the British ran out of money, the French joined with the Americans, and the British lost. What happened to the loyalists? You think it would be a good thing to be a loyalist in Perth Amboy?
Not anymore.
Not really.
Not with the Sons of Liberty out
there. They were given some choices. They could go to the south.
Someone's saying hi to you.
How you doing?
You telling them about this wonderful building?
Yes!
Good stuff. Mr. Mass knows what's going on here. Good stuff.
He's awesome.
He's the best.
Oh, we try, yeah, because he was my student. That's right.
Oh, okay. I think you paid him to come here and say that.
Nah. They even burnt down. The British, when they left, they started fires and stuff, and they got out of here. And the loyalists were told, get out. Some went in the south. I don't know if you ever read a poem by Longfellow called Evangeline. That'd be a good poem to read.
Evangeline?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's about two lovers that lived possibly in this area, and they were separated when the loyalists were sent. And she was sent to the bayous in Louisiana, and he went all through the bayous trying to find her. Okay.
Here's a small excerpt from Longfellow's poem that Mr. Massopust was referring to. I'd never heard the poem before, but it's got a lot of very beautiful imagery.
This is the forest primeval. The murmuring pines and the hemlocks, bearded with moss and in garments green, indistinct in the twilight, stand like druids of old, with voices sad and prophetic. Stand like
The others were sent to Nova Scotia in August, given an axe for family, couple hatchets, and a yoke of oxen for every 4 families. In August in Nova Scotia, winter's coming. They survived the first winter, and to this day, there are Perth Amboy people that lived in Perth Amboy living in Nova Scotia.
So they were basically exiled after the war.
Oh, they sure were. So it's not an easy thing, because when you choose a side,
You don't know who's going to win?
you don't really know who's going to win. What happened to the women who sided with the Germans in World War II? What did they do to them?
They
shaved their heads. They carved swastikas on their foreheads. It was very, very angry. So you got to be careful. What you choose. So therefore, this building was mainly a loyalist place. Now, this is the only royal governor's mansion standing in the United States. If you go to Virginia, you'll see the Tryon Palace. That is a reconstruction. All the other palaces and stuff are reconstruction. This is the real McCoy. It is here. It's the only one standing. One of the reasons why we weren't made Williamsburg, I think, was we were on the wrong side of the war. The Guggenheims did have money here, and a lot of people came here and looked at it, but
There were too many loyalists here.
yeah, it didn't work.
And
So
that's why we stopped being the capital of New Jersey,
sure
too.
Was. Yeah, we went to Trenton.
And the county seat was switched from Perth Amboy to
Went
New
to New
Brunswick
Brunswick,
because they took away all our significance because we were on the
Because
wrong
you
side of
can't,
politics.
when you lose, you lose.
That's right.
Now, this building is very well built. It was built by Edward Pryor,
Guys, I can't lean against
who
somebody's
was
car.
a New York builder, and he went out of his way to build a good building for the royal governor to live in. Most of the materials were from here. If you look at the bricks, they're not like the bricks that you see today. Look at these bricks, how smooth they are. how square. These are not that square. They're made by baking them in the sun with a special clay that we have in this area, Caseby, Perth Amboy, and Sayreville. How did Sayreville, what was their financial base in the years to
Wait,
go?
raise your hand. She knows the name of the clay.
Terracotta.
No.
It wasn't?
In Sayreville.
Oh. I don't know.
Sayre Fisher bricks
Oh, okay.
were made because of clay. Because we had the clay here, we could make the terracotta.
But the type of clay was the
Yeah, I
terracotta.
will show you the terracotta in a few minutes.
Okay.
There's a lot to see. This area on this side was built in 1809 by probably the richest man one of the richest men in the United States, Matthias Bruin. And he liked to entertain, and he liked his whooping and whopping. And he built a beautiful ballroom in here. And it's interesting, the ballroom is narrow. And I tried to explain to these people, they said, oh no, it's got to be opened up. And I said, it was not an open ballroom. How did they dance in the 18th century and the early 19th century?
Anybody ever see the movie Pride and Prejudice where the people are in long lines dancing?
And like ballroom.
Yeah.
Well, it was called reels. They would do these reels, and they would go up and down, up and down. And it was something that was a little bit different. So, but this house had some of the more famous people of the United States come here. During the Revolutionary War, Clinton was here, General Clinton, General Cornwallis. I think he was in this building when the British were defeated at Trenton. He was getting ready to go to England and see his wife. During the Civil War, this building was used as a resting place for American officers that were wounded in the war, and they were rested here. Then it became a big hotel, like a resort, and this street wasn't built until 1911, so you could see right out to the wood. And it was cool. People would come here up until about 1812, where there was a recession. Southern people would come here. Then after the Civil War, it didn't work out so good. So people would use this building for that purpose. Okay. Then it became a rather large and fancy boarding house. And you saw there was a balcony in the front. That's what that room is. There was a tea room downstairs and things of that nature. Then, like all multiple occupancy dwellings, it went downhill, and I guess the term flop house could be used. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people, it was not the best place in the world to live. In the 60s and 70s, it was finally cleaned out by the state. And what I did, actually, I came in here with high school kids, and we started at the top and came all the way down, carrying all the old furniture and junk out of here. No antiques or stuff. It's mattresses and frying pans with food on it and everything. We took it all and threw it into garbage trucks here, and they took, I think it was like 23 truckloads of garbage out of here, and then the building was completely empty.
What year was this?
I would say it was in the 72, 73 that we did this. I did all the archaeology here, and I worked here for 3 summers, and we did all the archaeology and found the remnants of the fire and some other structures. There was a cistern in here.
So you guys dug down and you found
yeah,
art. What happened to those artifacts? Where are they now?
They went to Trenton, where they were destroyed in a fire.
Here's a photograph from 1973 of Mr. Massopust with his students doing an archaeological dig at the Proprietary House. Oh, wow.
So, that's life in a big city. But that is one of the things that, that happened here. But yes.
When
you look down, is there an attic? Like,
Yes,
full of
there
things?
is an upstairs.
Full of things like artifacts and
Negatory on that.
Well, remember when he said flop house, I don't know if you guys know what that means. It was like a hotel where you could spend just like maybe, oh, I need a place to stay for $10, you know, like, so a
That
lot
was
of
it.
travelers came through here and all the original antiques were gone. It was just a place where somebody could lay down on a
All
mattress
the
and sleep
antiques
the
were
night.
gone after the British left. Mrs. Franklin went to New York. She took everything she had
Right.
with her.
So, I mean, we have the building, basically.
Yeah. So there really was nothing very special here.
Now, you were going to tell us about the second door on that, on
Oh
the
yeah,
other
I just
side?
said it was a porch
Yeah,
when
there
it
was a porch.
like a very well-to-do boarding house. And so I said some of these windows and stuff go back to 1809, yeah. And there was a lot to be seen. When I first worked here, there was a tower on the top. And if you went up to that tower, you could see Sandy Hook on a good day.
Oh, wow.
Like today, you could see Sandy Hook because we've had rain for so long and the air is clean, right?
What's original to the house? Original to...
Everything on this side on the second floor down.
Okay, but I mean, in other words, what... This... Was it exactly this shape when the royal governor lived here?
Yep, except it was only 2 stories.
Okay, so there's a third story that was
It
added
was added
later.
in 1809, we
Okay,
believe.
so this is basically a federal style colonial house.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Okay,
And
one
this
of the
is
students
true
asked...
1809.
She asked about the architecture, federal
God
style
bless her.
colonial.
God
Yep.
bless her.
We've been studying about architecture and
I
stuff.
know
David.
you've got a little bit of an idea of this building. Okay? This is a one-of-a-kind building in the United States. It's a one-of-a-kind building. And we were forever fighting, you know, to get money and funding. I think it may need a paint job. What do you think?
So, guys, you think we should come back on a Wednesday afternoon and do the tour?
yeah.
Okay, take the YMCA bus and come on over here. We'll do
Yeah,
that
they
then.
do a tour. Just tell them you're coming. and-
Okay, we'll
Yep.
call them.
Let's get on the bus and I'll show you. Here. It's opened on Tuesdays for tours, but I told Miss Wittenberg that a name to talk to, and we could probably have it open on a Wednesday. The building itself housed the whole Kearny family. It's a little tiny house. It is not a big giant house. And let's take a walk over here. That the city did was any of these carriage stones that were left out were picked up during the Victorian times. The streets were not paved, so when you stepped out of your carriage, you stepped on the carriage steps, see? So you didn't step in the mud. And they were all laying around. We picked them up and brought them here. The garden of a house would often provide food for the whole house. And one of the things, if you go to Colonial Williamsburg, is that they made for the planning that each house had so much property, and between them was a picket fence painted white. And the reason being is what do fences do?
Good fences make good neighbors.
Neighbors, right? Tells you which is yours and which is somebody else's. Keep your goats. How do you keep your lawn mowed? Goats and sheep. So your goats and sheep would stay on this side. You understand what I'm saying? No, yeah? Okay. So, like a home like this, and of course the Kearnys did, would have a vegetable garden. During World War II, President Roosevelt asked all the people to make victory gardens in their houses and plant food so that food could be used. And I worked on a farm when I was a junior in college, and the farm actually supplied the house. The garden was a vegetable garden. The woman had chickens and pigs, and it's been said, if you have chickens, pigs in a garden, you'll never starve. Because you have eggs, you have chickens, and you have pigs. Pigs don't require a lot of room. So it wasn't unusual for houses to have little gardens like this. And I actually built the first one here, and I used the bricks from the ASNR. and they got pavers donated. And now they have
ASNR?
stuff, but I laid out the beds using barge timbers we found in the bay.
What does ASNR stand for?
American Smelting and Refining.
And I'm sorry, what did you find in the bay? You said
Barge timbers, big
Oh, wow.
timbers. And I made the garden. Now, of course, they've gotten a lot fancier, and they just do this. That's like a horse holder for your horse if you want to tie your horse up. Okay?
Got my horse.
Yeah, we gotta take care of our horses, but they're just planting flowers and stuff here that are not hard to maintain. But the Kearny family was a big family in New Jersey. In the Civil War, General Kearny was killed in the Civil War, but his family came from New Jersey. They named the town Kearny after him. And in there we actually have his sword that he
wow.
used in the Civil War. And I had it authenticated by I guess you could call the guy a swordologist, the guy that knew Civil War weapons. And he said it would possibly very easily have been his sword. So he was killed at the Battle of Chantilly. But he was a Jersey guy. And his unit was called the New Jersey Volunteers. And he was, very associated. I'm sure he spent nights in this house too. So the Commander Kearny was built here, born here. He went on to fight the pirates of Tripoli, and he was awarded a silver tea set by the Queen of England. That tea set is now kept at St. Peter's. So you can,